and she's going to be talking with us tonight about photography so that we can all kick up our photo game a notch. Okay, Sarah, you are welcome to take over.
Thank you very much. This is my first leading of a Google Hangout, so please bear with me. If you need something or need to mute or unmute or tell me what to do, I put together a little slideshow because I'm a visual person. So I'm going to attempt to screen share this with y'all. Let me see. Can you see that? It says, welcome Pushing Lovelies. Ladies, SarahMalka@PinterPainting.com.
Yes, we can see it, Sarah.
Okay, good. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming and taking time. So what we're going to do is we're going to get started. And that's not the one. Hang on. Keynote, view, navigator. View, see, like I said, outline, view, slide only. There we go. All right, does it say my equipment where you guys can see?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is what I use. I have a Nikon D7000, a Nikon 50mm 1 to 1.4D, and then the stock lens was a Nikon 18 to 105mm, and then all those little numbers. And then I use Aperture to edit my photos. Aperture is a pay-for program. I think it costs $80. It used to be something like over $350, but when Apple did an update one time, it dropped in price to like $80. So being a penny pincher, I jumped on board and got that one. The reason I am with Nikon is that's all I've ever known. If you are Canon and that's all you've ever known, that's fine. It's just Mac versus PC. There's good, there's bad, there's indifferent, in whatever. It is digital. It is digital SLR, which means you can change a bajillion different settings on it versus a point and shoot. Let's see. This is my last slide. Hang on. View, outline, no, view, navigator. Why is it doing that? All right, well, you guys are just going to see what's coming up because I can't figure out how to do it any other way. All right, so in my opinion, a good photo has a subject, good lighting, good exposure, and color balance. I do a lot of how-tos and tutorials. I don't do a lot of, I'm going to call them feel-good pieces. That's just not what I do. So I do a lot of recipes. So my subject are going to be food or garden or crafts or something like that. So you need a subject. Lighting. My favorite lighting is natural lighting. Natural lighting meaning the sun. It is best to take photos near an open window, meaning without shades on it. If you have seen my photo, it's my icon, my face. It's got like my face and it's like brown behind it. That was taken in my entryway in my hallway in my house with an open door right next to me, so you can see some shading and lighting there. Exposure. That is how much light is let into the camera. A photo can be overexposed or underexposed, and I think I will have some examples later on. The amount of exposure will depend on how much light is available. Cloudy days, bright days, shade inside, outside. There's a myriad of things that you can adjust with your exposure. And then color balance. I can show you how to fix your photos for color balance. Are they too yellow? Are they too orange? Are they too dark? Are they too blue? In Aperture, you're able to fix that. But when you do that, you need to set your camera to RAW, R-A-W, because the camera, the digital form, captures absolutely every color, every pixel, every depth in RAW format. Versus JPEG. JPEG, it doesn't take as many. It just takes enough to make the JPEG. So whenever you're wanting to adjust anything, always shoot raw. That's what your professionals do, your wedding photographers, your magazine photographers, the whole deal. All right. I found this image at shotrockers.com. Am I attributing this one correctly, ladies? Did I do that correctly, even though it's not my image? Anybody?
Yeah, that's good.
Is that good? Okay. I'm just making sure. Hang on. Now I got to get back over there. The whole attribute thing is new to me, and I just lost. Here it is. There it is. Okay. So this is, I love the way this is laid out. How fast your camera shutter opens and closes to expose the sensor, which is like the brain or the eye in the back of the camera. The longer the shutter speed is open, that's the click that you're going to hear. The longer it's open, the more light is exposed to the sensor, and then vice versa. The shorter, the less. Shutter speed, you'll see it on your digital camera. It will tell you in a fraction of how fast that thing is shutting. Is it shutting at an 1/8 of a second, 125th of a second, a 4,000th of a second? And depending on the effect that you want, you are able to adjust that. You can adjust it either manually, or you can adjust it with your aperture and your f-stop. And that's something up that's next. So I like to take a photo at least 100th of a second. So if I'm noticing that something is moving, like my kids are moving, my kids I like to take at 250th of a second because they're just so fast. If I'm boiling something or I've got water pouring, it's more than 1,000th of a second. So I'm able to adjust that. And here is an example from it'soverflowing.com. They gave a great visual on different types, different seconds. Yeah, and I'm visual, so this works for me. Am I going too fast for anybody? Do I need to repeat something? All right. Thank you. Depth of field and f-stop. This is your fuzzy factor. How fuzzy do you want your picture? Do you want the back completely blown out? You can't see what it is? Do you want just the center part, like where your hamburger is in focus and everything else is kind of out of focus? The lower the number, your f2, you're going to have more fuzz. Your f11, everything from what is in front of the camera to the back of the field will be in focus. If you are food photographers love the 50 millimeter. That's what I use a lot for a lot of my blog posts because I'm able to get my f-stop down to I think it's a 1.5, 1.4. But I have to be very careful because if I am right up on top of that piece of meat or that tomato, I can blow the entire thing, make it entirely fuzzy because I am too close to it. See, it's a big learning curve whenever you're working with f-stops as to what effect you want. I like to put my f-stops around a 2.5, 2.8 to a 3.5, depending. It really brings the eye forward into what you're photographing, and then it lets you know that yes, there is something else in the photo. It's just not as important, and it really draws your eye to what you're focusing on. And what are we going to photograph? You want to photograph your finished product. This was carne asada I did. Can you all see my cursor?
Yes.
Okay. I was focusing right here. That's where my focus was. And in my camera, there is a grid, and it is able to pull up it will tell me with a blinking little red light where the focus is. And if it happens to grab something over here, I stop and I refocus and I get it to where I want. I can't tell you what this one was, its f-stop was at. But you can see in the back, this is a wooden table. You can't see the grain in the table. Your eye is on the onions and the cilantro, the sour cream, the meat, and then the plate is blurred. But I pulled your eye where I want it. I want it on the finished product. I want your mouth to water when you see this photo. If you're looking for something else to photograph, work on the process. These were the herbs that went into the marinade. Make them pretty. Put them in a line. This one's in a circle with my garlic all fanned out in a flower. You could do individual pictures. This is this herb, that herb, this spice, 4 cups of flour, whatever it is. And then I've seen all sort of really cute, creative ways of doing it. People have pieces of slate or chalkboard, and they put them on and they like circle it and write the name next to it. I don't have time for that. That's just not happening for me. I'm lucky I get this far. And then what I would do is underneath this in the blog post, I would say it's a tablespoon of this and 2 tablespoons of this and 5 of this, and I would explain what it is. I don't have to point it out because I have written it below, but you have the visual of how much is a tablespoon, how much is a teaspoon. And if all else fails, just take a picture of all the ingredients. This is what it took to get the marinade, the carne asada. And this is where, if you're having a sponsored blog post, your item, let's say it was McCormick had sponsored this one, I would make sure that you can read the whole name, it's up front, and then if there was a competitor, I would put the other spice, either flip it around or put a piece of tape on it or put it in a bowl or something. Any questions so far? Nope. Okay. Framing up your photo is pretty important because when you're looking through the lens, you need to be aware of not only the center, but what's behind it. Is someone jumping in the middle of your photo? What story are you telling with your photo? It's okay to be off-center. This gentleman is to the left, and this is blown out in the back. The f-stop was set pretty low, although we were pretty far away from him when we took this photo. I'm trying to think where this one was. This was at the park. I'm sorry, no, this was at groundbreaking for my girls' school. So the focus is on the gentleman playing his harmonica, but it's not centered. All photos don't have to be centered. But sometimes it is good to have a full centered photo. We were getting ready to be in a parade, and I took this photo of one of my daughter's classmates, and it shows what he's doing. He's working, and then some of the building in the background, the f-stop was set. I think this one was around a 4, f-stop of a 4. So I've got the focus on. I almost called him Raphael. That's his brother's name. Lorenzo. This is Lorenzo. The focus is on Lorenzo and what he's working on versus having the background in focus as well as the subject. It really sets him apart from what's in the picture. But be aware, up too close is too much. Sometimes you want this, sometimes you don't. It all depends on what the story is that you're telling. Are you telling the story of the whole person, or are you trying to make a point? Does that make sense? Whenever you're framing up your photos, you need to be thinking of what is the purpose, what is the story you're telling, and think through the camera lens. And when you are taking that photo, you need to keep in mind, are you going to crop down? And if you are cropping down, how much are you cutting out? And then what will the quality of the crop be? So that's another thing you need to think of. And then this one is up close but not too close. So there is a difference between up close but not too close. This one is depth of field. The focus was on the teacher here. This was the same groundbreaking as the first photo I showed you. But because I had the f-stop set so low and my sensor was focused on her, these groundbreaking guys were fuzzy. So the story was, look beyond what's in front of you to the distance, and you're drawn into what she's saying. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Color balance. This can be fixed when you shoot in RAW, and I love it because depending on what your lighting is, are you inside, are you outside, do you have halogen bulbs, anything. Those tube lightings, everything can change. This was taken in a classroom with those tube halogen bulbs. To me, this is too yellow, and this can be corrected. This one is too green. This one was taken with those swirly bulbs, and they put off a different light, and when the digital camera picks it up, that's how it interprets it on the SD card. This one is too dark. The sun was setting behind the subjects, so it was backlit, and there was not light on their faces. Sometimes this can be fixed. Mostly, I think we did move and we changed a couple settings. I was able to up the aperture on this. I'm sorry, the exposure on this one. So I was able to let more light into the camera. So that was the next one that we took after this one. All right. So you guys want to see how I edit?
Yeah.
Let me try this. Woo. Hang on. Screen share. How do I get that up in there? Nope. Hang on. I think we'll just have to do a desktop share. All right. Do you see two photos?
No, not yet.
Now you see me. All right. Hang on. Screen share. Hang on. Now do you see two photos?
Yes, we do.
Yes. Okay. The one on the left was straight out of the camera. The one on the right was my edit. This is when we were talking about a couple weeks ago. Oprah did the was it the Brown Girls? Is that correct? What was it called?
Oh, 6 Brown Chicks?
No. Oprah had a thing on OWN Network, and they were talking about colored women and dark girls. Was that it?
Dark Girls.
There it is. Thank you. This photo is the one that came to mind because this young lady right here is in the shadow. But I was able to fix it so you can see her face, and I'm going to show you how to do that.
We just had that conversation in our community, in our group, like a couple weeks ago, about how people like women of color, we edit for our skin color, and so it's sometimes difficult to get it lighter. So I'm excited to see how this works.
Okay. When I took this photo, I saw this. These are my daughter's classmates. The two girls on the left are obviously Caucasian, and the two girls on the right are African American. And I knew that in a shadow, I'm going to have difficulty in keeping features in Asia and Amera. So, but I think I did a decent job. without totally blowing out these two girls. When I say blowout, do y'all know what I mean? It's not a hair term. Does anybody know what blowout means?
No.
No.
Okay, blowout means to overexpose, and let me get off the screen share. Hang on. Stop. Start. Nope. Anyway, blowout means to saturate it with so much light. Like right now my face is a little bit blown out. Do you see that? Because there's so much light on it, you can't see my pores, you can't see my wrinkles. It's blown out. Whereas if you were to lighten or take some of the lightness away, you're able to see depth and more color. So let's get to editing. Whoops. Hang on. Like I said, I'm new at this. Screen share. Desktop. Start. Okay. Okay. So, all right. So, in Aperture, can you all see? Somebody say yes because I can't see your face.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Over here we have projects. All my blog photos are here, and then logo stuff. This is where my daughters go to school. Info. We click the info button. Click it. Thank you. And it will tell you what the ISO is, how much light was let in. As you can see, this one was done at 250 with an f-stop of 4.8, so that was kind of lowish. And you can see that these trees back here are fuzzy. This is fuzzy, but this part of the tree is not. And it was taken at 120th of a second. Oh, that was a... Do you all see this, the grid that just came up?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Do you see the red box?
Yes.
Okay, the red box is where the camera is focusing. That is going to be the absolute sharpest point of the photo. I wanted it in the center because I knew that if I had it on the girl on the left, the girl on the right would not be in as much focus as they would be off balance. So I was shooting for the center. If you want to get real artsy, you can click it over so that it's to the left or to the right, but I like mine centered for the most part. So that's what this button will do here. And then all here is the name of the photo, when it was taken, all your camera stuff, make, model, exposure. This is all, it's all technical stuff. It's the recipe for the photo. So what I do is I come over to my adjustments, and right away I know that I want to up the exposure on this photo. I want to bring more light to it, almost backlighting it, like bringing more light from behind. And watch how I do that. I'm just going to take the slider and slide it up. Did you see the difference?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we were down here. All I did was in my adjustments, I drug it up to where I thought it would look nice. Now let me show you what blown out is. You see how that's more blown out?
Yeah, we see that.
Okay. Y'all got to start talking because I can't see you. You can nod your heads or somebody say no. Okay. So I think this is too much because I'm losing the richness. I'm losing some of the color. So I'm going to tone it down a little bit. And Amira's cheek over here, I think, whoops, I think the color is off. I think she's looking kind of green. It's not that the child is green. It's just how the photo, how it photographed. So what I do is I come over here to my tint, and don't think of it as adding more pink. Think of it as taking away green. So I click and slide, and it's probably really subtle on your screens. So on my screen, she's less green. And then Ava here is a little, in my opinion, she's a little yellow. And this is where your artistic part comes in. My photos will probably be more blue because that's how I see things. So I just bumped it down just a little bit. Let me see if I can. All right, so this is adjusted, and then I will switch it. That's what it was before. Do you see the subtle difference?
Yes.
Before and after. So then,
oh, wow, yeah.
do you see the difference? Okay, so
Yeah.
that's after. Before, this is straight out the camera. And then here's the exposure. This is after, before. Before, after. And as I'm looking at that, oh, there it is. So then what I would do is to give it more of a popping, color loving look, I bump up the contrast. And the contrast is over here in Enhance. And I just bump it up a little bit to see what happens. Now, to me, that was too much. I've now lost her hair, and it blends into her arm too much. So, I bring it down. A little bit. Here we go. Let it process a sec. This one's really subtle. There we go. Hold it back. What contrast does is it makes your darks darker and your lights lighter. So it gives it more of an extreme. It gives it definition. It sets colors apart. Another thing I like to do is I bump up the vibrancy, because we see things and we remember things differently than what the camera sees. The camera sees things as they are flat, but because we're such a visual society, in my opinion, we see things more colorful. So I bump up the vibrancy a little bit. And it gives it a little bit more pop. The greens are greener, the burgundies are more burgundy. And then I'm able to step back and look at the photo again and say, okay, because I added those enhancements, did it change my temperature and tint? And I think it did. The vibrancy went up on the blue in what I added. So what I can do is I can go back, because whenever you up anything, it just goes up. It makes it more. So I will undo some of the blue, and I'm going to updo some more of the red. So, and then what I can do is I can come in here and I'm going to grab my sharpen tool. It's on the bottom. It's this little brush, and I just grab the sharpen, and there's a circle. And you can see on the left-hand side in the upper corner it says sharpen, strength, brush size, softness. I like the brush size I can change. That's how round it is. How much am I going to be sharpening at the same time? The strength is like a stroke. How many strokes does it take to get the desired effect? Sometimes you just want a little bit of softness. Sometimes you don't want it as sharp because it just doesn't look natural. So what I do is I come in and I sharpen the girls just a little bit. This will add definition to them and further set them apart from their background. So let me see. That's pretty close. So the one on the left and the one on the right, the one on the right is what I was trying to duplicate. It's pretty close. On the one on the right, I think my contrast is a little bit more. But the one on the left, you can see Asia's ponytail a little bit more into the crook of her arm. Any questions?
Yes. So how long does it typically take you to edit one photo?
Depends how bad it is. Depends how much help it needs. It can take me anywhere from 2 minutes to 15 minutes. Let me see. You guys are going to be seeing probably a lot of stuff that I may not want you to see, but oh well. It all depends. Okay. Here's an example of a photo with, this was taken at a 30th of a second, f-stop at 3.2. Do you see where the red square is now? It's on the right-hand side.
Yes.
So that's where the color was, and then the rest was fuzzy. Sorry, I have ADD, and sometimes I jump. Okay, how long did it take to edit a photo? 2 to 15 minutes. It all depends. When I first started, it would take me like 45 minutes. You get into a flow. You learn what works for you and how you like things, and you get a. Go back up into my blog stuff. You get into a flow, and it's you learn what you like. Now this. Any other questions? I'm sorry before I totally jump. Hang on, screen share. What did I do? Screen share. Hello. Google Plus. Start. Where's me? I don't know where I am.
Push screen share one more time.
Push screen share one more time. Thank you.
There you go.
Do you see me? Oh, there I am. Okay. Any questions? Have I confused everybody?
Seriously.
No, this is good. I learned a lot about the f-stop, a lot of the different things I'm taking notes on, so this is doing good.
Okay. I'm getting blown out. I better light up here.
Is this the first?
Yes,
Is
I
your
am.
camera the camera that you currently have? Is that your first camera? I mean, or like, did you start with a different one and then move up?
We moved up.
Okay.
We started with a Nikon D100 that we bought in 2004 when I was pregnant with my daughter, and being a penny pincher, it freaked me out to be spending $1,000 on a camera. I was just like, what are we going to be doing with this? And he's like, do you realize you're having a baby and you're going to want to take pictures? I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. So we feel as though it paid for itself a lot, because you can make mistakes. You can try different things. You can edit. You can not edit. You can delete. So we went from film to digital almost 9 years ago. And then we bought the D7000 3 years ago? 2 years ago? Whenever it first came out, we got that one. So it works. At least it works for us.
Did you say that you had purchased other lenses for the D7?
Mm-hmm. You can get a bajillion different lenses. Let me get you back to here. I have this this 18105, I believe, is the stock lens. What it came with. For Christmas, I got the 50 millimeter because my husband knows that I blog, and I wanted better depth of field. That I wanted that f-stop down to the 2. I wanted it below a 2. The stock lens only took me to a 3.5, but to get the food photography that I wanted, I needed, in my mind, I needed the 50 millimeter. So Merry Christmas to me, that's what I got.
So did that lens, without being totally indiscreet, cost anywhere near what the camera costs? Because I have this impression that lenses are super expensive.
You can buy used lenses, and that's what we do. My husband's on photography boards. We have friends who are photographers. They are sold on eBay. In fact, the 50 millimeter came from eBay. I think it was less than $300. I'm going to say it was like $180. I could be really wrong. It was one of those things I'm like, I love it. Don't tell me how much it cost, because then I don't want to like not love it as much.
Right.
But the D7000 we bought new because it was the first time in like 3 years Nikon had come out with a new non-professional camera in like, what did I say, 3 or 4 years. And our D100 just wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. So we stepped it up.
Okay.
There are websites you can borrow lenses from. Let me, so you're not looking at that. Hang on, let me move you back over. I think it's lensshare.com or ShareALens. I mean, you can Google it and figure out what it is. That's me. Ah! I don't know what I just did. So yeah, you can borrow lenses. See, there I was blown out. We have photographer friends. They've borrowed our body. The housing is considered the body. You can borrow lenses. To give you an idea, price point, the D7000 brand new with the kit lens 3 years ago was $1,500. So they just came out with another one, or they're about to release another one, which means the D7000 will go down in price because everybody will be either selling their D7000s to upgrade to the D7000 something else. But reviews are coming out that it's not all that in a bag of chips. It's just the next one.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any more questions? I see Brandy's mouth moving, but nothing's coming out.
Right.
Still nothing.
Brandy, you're muted.
Hang on. Can anybody hear her? Because I can't.
I can hear. No, I can't hear her.
Brandy?
I don't know. Let's see how we can send her a message. Nope.
Hang on. Oh, wait. Should we go to the store? I'm not muted. I don't know how to fix it. What store?
I was trying to get to her.
Can you ask my question, Janine? Bye, Patricia. Hi, LaShawn. Go to the store, like the Nikon store? To get a camera? Okay. Should we go to the store, research options? What should we do first to get a camera for newbies? I would go to a store that has a variety of cameras. I am a big advocate of shopping local. We have a local photography store here in York, and they'll let you play with them. A lot of places will just stand in the store and push the buttons and say, well, I want it to look like this, or bring a picture and say, how do I do this? Will this camera do this, and how do I do it? Stand in one place and switch the f-stops down and try it, and pull it up and try it again, and then it's called chimping, like a monkey, like, ooh, 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 let me see, let me see. You look in the screen to see what you just took. So chimp at it and look and see and get a feel for it. Explain to the salesperson what you're trying to achieve, and they can point you in the right direction. Maybe they know of someone who's trying to sell something, or they know of something that's coming out. Hopefully you get a good salesperson and not someone who's just trying to push numbers. Did that answer your question? Okay. Unfortunately, no. If this one breaks, I am toast. I have a little point and shoot, but I have turned it over to the children. So we all know what happens when we give cameras to children, and it would not take photos that I would want to put on my blog. So side camera is something that's on my list of things to do, but it's pretty far down. If push came to shove, I have friends in the area I could borrow one from to do a shoot, but hopefully it doesn't come to that. Does anybody have a DSLR? No.
Yeah.
I have my husband's that I gave him that he isn't using, so I guess when he gets home I will have one.
Nice. Amira, what do you have?
D3100.
D3100. That one, is that the one that just came out?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you got the big boy. Amira has a Nikon D3100. Hers is one step up from mine, at least.
How do I like it? I like it very well. I don't know how to use it too much. I'm learning, but
you got to always have it in your hand. I found. I take it. I almost say I take it everywhere, but when I first was learning it, I took it. I took it everywhere. Do you use Aperture to edit? How do you edit?
I use iPhoto and then PicMonkey if I really want to get more detailed.
Okay. PicMonkey and iPhoto is what she uses.
Sarah, do you use your DSLR for your videos too?
Yes, I do. It has video capabilities. In fact, mine has 2 SD slots on it. I'm sure yours does as well. And I have mine set to put all my videos onto one card. It would be the bigger card. I have a 32 meg. Let me see. No, it's not there. It's already in the camera. It all goes under that one card, and I'm able to pull it out and stick it into. We have an iMac, so I stick it in there. And then I do edit my videos with Final Cut Pro, and I believe that was another pay-for app or a program. It's very, very similar to iMovie. So if you're familiar with iMovie, this is like the big brother to iMovie. It's got a little bit different transitions and a couple different features. One of the features that I like about Final Cut Pro is I'm able to put my watermark across the whole video instead of just having it pop up and down in between different scenes. If I had like a banner at the bottom that had different people's names popping up, I could have my watermark in the corner, whereas when I used iMovie, it didn't recognize it. It was too much for it to compute, and it spit out my watermark, and I wasn't happy about that. So that's what I use for video. And the reason I will still shoot with my 50mm when I'm doing my videos. I just put up a how to can peach jam, cherry jam. I've been doing a lot of jam recently. Those were all shot with the 50mm. You're able to get up front and in it and on top of it and get great detail, good depth of field, which is that fuzziness, your f-stop. So you can check out, I have a couple of those up.
So you use the same rules that you use for photography for your video too? Okay.
I do.
All right.
I
can't figure that out yet. I tried to do video and I messed it up. So I went back to my point and shoot for my videos.
It takes you switch it on the back. You flick a toggle and you look through the screen versus the viewfinder, and it's a little different feel. It took me a while to get it. I have a tripod that I use. I actually have my light on a tripod right now. Cheap tripod. It's heavy. I wish it was lighter, but it works. Sometimes I hold it in my hand. So it getting the video. Oh, bye, Brandy. Getting the video versus photography, it's similar but different, and it's just getting a feel for it. I guess it's riding a tricycle versus riding a bicycle. So it'll come. Whenever you're doing your, I guess with any video editing, you got to give a couple seconds lead time so that when you do your transitions, you're not covering up your words with your transitions in between scenes. Any more questions? Do you want me to pull up video? Do you want me to pull up more pictures? Do you want me to edit another picture for you?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Until my husband actually, I gotta see if he's in a good mood to see if I'll be able to actually take his camera when he gets home. But in the meantime, I downloaded an app for my phone camera that does a lot of those features you were talking about, so I can play with them. So are you available if we play around with some of these things you're suggesting, that we can inbox you questions and stuff?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I may not get to you right away, but I'll get to you really, really soon.
Eventually it's good, that's fine.
Eventually it's good, yeah. Yeah, please, if you have any questions, I mean, I'm not a professional, I'm just Sarah, and I do what I do. So I will answer the best I can. If I don't know, I'll be honest and be like, you know what, I'm sorry, I can't help, but hopefully I can.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Trying to think. We covered aperture, colors. The photos of the four girls, how does that compare to girls of color? Was I true to it, or was I not? Not being a woman of dark color, I don't know.
You did a good job.
Yeah, I thought you did a good job.
Okay.
I thought you did a good job when you edited it because we could see their features. They weren't just blobs stuck to the tree. You could see the colors in their faces, and it was differentiated between other things.
Yeah, let me pull it back up. Logos. Can y'all see?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So I knew when I took this picture that the Asia, I was hoping not to lose her in this photo because it was a shaded tree, and the tree was dark and her ponytail is dark. But I wanted to bring out about her cheeks and her eyes, and you can see her ears through here. But my fear was if I pulled up the shadow, meaning taking the darkness, the shadow away, I was afraid I was going to blow out or make these two girls on the left too light. And it worked out, I think. And another thing that was helpful was they had on white under here. This was a field day. This was their Greek festival. They dressed up as Greek goddesses, and so the white was reflecting light back up into their faces. So that helped out some. Trying to see if I have another picture. This is trying to see if this one's edited. Nope, this is an unedited picture. So let me see if I can edit this one real quick just to bring out her hair a little bit. Although my exposure is up pretty far. Bring up her exposure a little bit. In my opinion, they have a little bit of yellow in their skin. So I will I'm not putting blue in, I'm pulling yellow out. I will bump the contrast up too much. I lost her part. And then I will bump up the saturation. This makes the greens green, fills in a little bit more of a detail in her ponytail, and then the burgundy's more burgundy. All right, so this is the after. And then before. So I bump up the exposure, color correct, and then enhance with vibrancy. We got 5 minutes. Anything else, ladies? See if I can get back. There I am. All right. So for those of you who have the apps or a camera you want to try, just take it everywhere you go and say, well, I want this f-stop. What happens when I pull the f-stop way down? What happens when I push my exposure up? And just play with it. It's technology. It's digital. It's lots of fun. At least I think so.
Well, thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome. Thank you all for coming and taking time out of your evening.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I think this was a good workshop for all of us. I think we're all going to be carrying around our cameras, even our point and shoot, to just practice with different settings on it. So yes, we should all be a little bit better in the future.
Please do. Can't wait to see everything.